Hey everybody, Otaku Hedgehog here, and welcome to my first and new video series, which I'll be calling Otaku News, where I'll be giving my opinions, discussing news regarding the video games and anime industries. And to start this series off, I'd like to discuss Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee have been scoring quite well with the quote-unquote professional reviewers, as according to Metacritic. Both games have scored an 81, which is a really good score for a video game, but as far as the user scores go, the same can't be said. Well, with Pokemon Let's Go Eevee as of today scoring a 5.9 on the user score, and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu scoring a 6.0 with the users. This really begs the question if we can really trust quote-unquote professional reviewers in order to help determine whether a game is good or not. Growing up, I loved Pokemon during my teenage years, though I was aware of the series during my early childhood as it was a big hit and everyone in my class knew about it and was playing on their little Game Boys, but I was never really in the whole Pokemon phase when it first began, as I didn't really get into Saturday morning cartoons during my early childhood. I was more so in the Nickelodeon Cartoon Network group. However, when I finally did get my very first Pokemon game when I was probably like around the age of 13, my first Pokemon game was Pokemon Sapphire, and I absolutely fell in love with this series and went back to play all the old Pokemon games such as Gold and Silver and Yellow to see what I missed out on for all those years. And I continued to enjoy the series all the way up until Gen 4. But after Gen 5, I kind of lost interest in the series due to the lazy design of newer Pokemon and the games in general just becoming downright repetitive. I mean, just look at this Pokemon for example. How is this a Pokemon? It's an ice cream cone. So Game Freak is now taking inanimate objects and putting happy faces on them, and they're considered Pokemon now. And yeah, you could call me a Gen 1er or whatever. I'm more so of a Gen 1, 2, 3, and 4, but whatever. But anyway, I was really excited to finally see the Kanto region reimagined in HD. Though, after reading all the complaints by hardcore Pokemon fans and seeing why Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu aren't as, I guess, good as previous core games, I'm kind of hesitant to actually purchase my own copy of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So what I've been seeing a lot of Pokemon fans complain about is the fact that this Pokemon Let's Go series is such a dumbed down experience from the previous core games. I mean, the game, from what I've heard, lacks content, there's no held items, there's no unique Pokemon abilities. The game is priced $20 more than the previous core games. And all in all, it's really just a really easy Pokemon game. Worst of all, these Let's Go games seem to be a spiritual successor to the free-to-play mobile game Pokemon Go, hence the title. Now, I personally have never been a fan of Pokemon Go. I tried it for a few days, but I could just not get into it. Though what I believe to be the worst insult in these Pokemon Let's Go games is that we have these paywalls in order to get 3 mythical Pokemon, Mew, Meltan, and Melmetal. Now, in order to get Mew, you need to purchase some $50 Pokeball Plus gimmick toy that contains a Mew inside, and once you transfer it, first of all, you can't transfer it again if you decide to start a new game with the Pokemon Let's Go games, and Mew cannot be traded online, so you're basically SOL if you don't have a friend who has the Pokeball Plus and didn't use it, because otherwise you pretty much have no way to get a Mew unless you cough up $50 and purchase this Pokeball Plus toy. As for Melton and Melmetal, you need to transfer those Pokemon from the Pokemon Go app, which is a whole nother can of worms in itself, as first of all, in order to play Pokemon Go, you need a pretty decent cell phone, which isn't cheap, and you're going to be tempted by those microtransactions in that game. I mean, like I said, I don't know much about Pokemon Go. I tried it for a few days and I didn't like it, but I do know that you need like an iPhone 5S or higher in order to be able to play it comfortably without lagging and whatnot. So, I mean, yeah, there you go. That's more money that you're going to have to throw down for a Pokemon. Though, to be honest, I personally don't care too much about Melton and Melmetal, since I really don't like the Pokemon after Gen 4. But Mew, on the other hand, is really a big slap in the face to old school Pokemon fans like me, and really makes me frustrated and hesitant to buy this game, as I know I have to throw down an additional $50 if I want to complete my Gen 1 Pokédex. Now, the reason why I'm ranting due to this user score and critic score diverge in the Pokemon Let's Go games, as well as the paywall that is thrown into these Pokemon Let's Go games, is because they're giving me an uneasy feeling and reminder of what was going on with Sonic Forces last year. Last year, when Sonic Forces was released, it was heavily criticized by both critics and users due to having a lack of content, though despite the game being only $40 at launch. Now, fast forward to 2018, and we have Pokemon Let's Go, which also suffers from a lack of content. Despite this, the critics seem to love the game. As of today, Sonic Forces on Nintendo Switch has received a 57 on Metacritic and a 7.1 for the user score. And again, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu has an 81 on Metacritic and has a 6.0 user score. And again, this just leads me to think, are the quote-unquote professional critics biased towards Nintendo IPs and just love to bash Sonic? I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a fanboy or anything, but it really does seem like that's the case. I mean, again, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is $60, and they're actually $100 if you consider buying the games with the Pokeball Plus bundle. While Sonic Forces was only $40 at launch. Sonic Forces only costs 2/3 the price of the base Pokemon Let's Go games. Despite that, it still gets far more criticized for having a lack of content, unlike Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, as seen by the professional critics. I mean, this is just so frustrating as a Sonic fan. I mean, it seems that all Nintendo and Game Freak have to do is take an old game that they released from 20 years ago, slap on a fresh coat of paint on it, and it sells like hotcakes. Even with added paywalls to get certain Pokemon, it still sells like crazy. Sonic unfortunately doesn't have that same luxury, and it's just frustrating. And again, in regards to this whole paywall thing, I remember that Sega also pulled this paywall stunt back with Sonic Forces and Sonic Lost World. Back during the launch of Sonic Lost World, they removed the feature to gain extra lives after collecting 100 rings, but again, they gave us the ability to buy extra lives with real-world money. And in Sonic Forces, they removed Super Sonic from the game, but they were gonna later add him as like a $2 or $3 DLC. And Sonic fans didn't stand for this. They stood up to Sega, voted with their wallets, and demanded that they make these features free as they were with previous Sonic games. But yet, when Nintendo and Game Freak decide to hide content behind a paywall, nobody gets upset. They just take it as it is and buy their games obediently, and it just baffles me. Like, don't they care about their own value as a customer? Don't they care that they're being taken advantage of, and that they let Nintendo and Game Freak take advantage of them? I just don't get it. There are just so many double standards that Sonic has to deal with, and it really ticks me off. It always seems like in the eyes of the critics, anything and everything Sonic does is the wrong decision. And Sonic always ends up falling flat on his face, regardless of the quality of the games. But anyway, Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee, and Pikachu have managed to sell 3 million copies in their first week alone, thus becoming the fastest selling Switch game thus far. Now, Smash Brothers may overthrow it, but again, as of today, as of me making this video, Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee, and Pikachu have become the fastest selling Switch game of all time. And so cheers to Nintendo and Game Freak that they're finally able to release a Pokemon game on a home console after the abominable Wii U console. So, like I said, I'm not sure yet if I'm going to be picking up Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee. The $50 paywall for Mew and lack of content and high price is kind of scaring me away from picking it up. Even though I would love to travel the Kanto region in HD, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just wait for a deal and hope that maybe during this holiday season the price of the Pokeball Plus may drop a bit. Of course, I won't hold my breath because it's Nintendo, but oh well. But why don't you guys let me know, what do you guys think of Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee? Will you be picking it up this holiday season, or do you already have it? If so, do you like it? Do you hate it? Or do you think it's just an average game? Is there anything you think Game Freak could have done to have improved this game, or do you think it's fine as is? Well, I guess that's all I wanted to mention about this Pokemon Let's Go hype train. I'm happy to see Pokemon finally in HD, but let's hope that the next Pokemon game on the Switch will have more content and won't have paywalls and will be more worth the $60 price tag. Well, everybody, I'm Otaku Hedgehog, and as always, have a way past cool day. Bye-bye!